politics and locally what's been happening. And maybe we'll start with a soundbite from Martha Karua, who was here in the studio. And initially, I had basically asked her at that point where she was talking on, well, joining the opposition or being part of the opposition. She has now changed tune. And I'd like us to look at it from this perspective of how do we expect Kenyans to rely on our politicians when they blow hot and cold from the same mouth. But let's start first of all with her as person of interest right here on Morning Express and what she recently had to declare. Let's listen in.
I am in opposition. I lead NAC Kenya. He leads CORD. And he also leads ODM. So to that extent, we are on the same page. And yes, we are working together as opposition, and there are possibilities of working together beyond opposition politics. So, but NAC Kenya is a distinct party, and will remain that way.
Will remain that way. It's not going to be merged into the other parties.
No, Jubilee must stop telling other parties that do what we are doing. They are not the standard. I would tell them watch the opposition to see how parties are run. Not
necessarily doing what they're doing, but by virtue of the fact that when you go for a CORD rally, for example, you stand with the CORD principles and echo what they have to say. Then we would assume that you're in agreement.
I stand as NAC Kenya, and we may not agree 100% on everything, but we largely do agree.
So do you think it is time that, for instance, Raila Odinga maybe hang his boots?
No. Like, if you ask me, I think it's time Uhuru and Ruto hanged their boots.
So, there we go. It's time Uhuru and Ruto hang their boots. But a few months later, well, she's supporting their presidency. Your take, Omar Hassan?
I think it should just become, she's just a pragmatic politician. I think Martha has a certain firmness in her politics and a certain value system in terms of her integrity to work against corruption. That is a value addition to any political process. And I can tell you for a fact, in my 3-4 years in politics, I can tell you there are good men and women in Jubilee who even today I know even if they were elected under certain, broad banners, and they can still do good. And they are as bad people and bad men and women in CORD. So therefore, I think this is a country where we now need to start more and more evaluating the character of individuals. Where the nature and the ethnic configuration of our politics has made it so difficult for Martha, despite her value systems, despite her good intentions, to win a vote or a seat in Kirinyaga without declaring express support in Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, today, this good gentleman here, I've had 1 or 2 good things about him said. Ambrose Weda. Now, one thing I know here, for me, the issue of theft of public resources is fundamentally high on my prism of character. So when you're told that he does not steal, he does not do a lot of things that others do, it's God-fearing. But as long as he says he's going to go into Luo Nyanza with a Jubilee ticket, you can tell him that not suicide. He is not going to make it. Suicide at least assumes that you have a life already and you're giving it up. He doesn't even have the life yet. So I think it's the perversive nature of our politics. That if today, if he really wanted to finally get elected as governor or senator of Kisumu, the way he ran the last time, he needs to first go through some rituals of saying how he has so suddenly seen so much light that he is even now blinded by that light. That that Raila.
So in short, we have a hypocritical political environment.
We have a dispensation that unfortunately is polarized by our ethnicity and the blind quest for power.
All right, Muriuki Njagagwe, you're disagreeing with me that it's a hypocritical environment.
It's not a hypocritical environment. What it is?
But how do you account
Kenyan
for one?
Politics is basically local.
All politics.
So when you go to Nyanza, like Wenda, he's tried. He's my good friend. He's a nice politician. But so long as he's coming up against the bleak of Raila, it becomes difficult. Martha Karua, she has a stock in politics, and a high stock. When she tried to go against the grain in Kirinyaga, opposing President Uhuru, I don't think she got 2,000 votes in her own county. And she had been an MP in one of the constituencies for about 3 terms and garnering over 50,000 votes. But when she tried her luck in the presidency against Uhuru, she got barely 2,000 or less. Now, when she wants now to come to be the governor of Kirinyaga, she can't make it under code. She cannot.
But
she says she's going to run with her own party, but support the president of Kenya, who is Uhuru Kenyatta.
And Kanu has said the same thing.